Okay, I'll call regular city council meeting Monday, October 6, 2014 to order. Clerk call roll, please.
Alderman Putoff. Here. Ferrari.
Here.
Waldorf. Lukosius. Perez. Radke. Mueller. Sapienza. Mayor Harrell.
Here, pledge of allegiance. Okay, no presentation.
We do have a presentation from the Friends of the Peru Pool regarding their Hy-Vee promotion.
Thank you. Okay, we have a public comment card filled out. Normally, it needs to be something that's on the agenda, but it's at the discretion of the mayor and the council to let it come up. And Greg Vaquero would like to come up and talk about the Peru BB Gun Club, and he has another engagement that he needs to attend, so he asked if he could come up at the beginning. So, Greg, you're up.
Volunteers. We were self-sufficient. We went out to the community and asked for donations. We raised over $3,000. Our expenses for the year were around $2,000. That also included some painting and stuff we had done as improvements in the room. The BB Gun Club is set for residents of Peru from the age of 10 to 14 years old, boys and girls. There's no charge to participate in the club. We been shooting on Tuesday nights. We changed that this year. Last year we lost 12 participants because of sports, because we get basketball and volleyball season. This year we're going to go on Monday nights here at the City Hall downstairs, starting at 5:30. After talking to some of the coaches, that's a better evening for kids who want to participate. We're excited. We're currently marketing the concept of getting the kids registered and asking for donations. There'll be some ads in the paper. The schools will be sending out notices. We have notice going out in the city utility bills for this month. So every house will get a notice as far as registration and donations. This year, we're hoping to have 50 to 60 kids. That's very manageable for us. We'll probably have a couple of special shoots. We challenge Oglesby every year. Their top 6 shooters, our top 6 shooters. We we lost both years. We have some good girl shooters over there. So we're looking forward to it. Anybody who has any questions can contact me anytime, and we're excited because we have some new parents involved in it.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion to receive the minutes and place on file?
So moved, Your Honor. Second, Your Honor.
Have a motion by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Waldorf to receive the minutes and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Do we have a motion to receive the reports and place on file?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
Have a motion by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Lukosius to receive the reports and place on file. Is there any discussion?
I just want to point out, Your Honor, the sales tax is up about 200 or 2% over the course of last year. So it's remaining consistent month to month, about a 2% increase each month. So that is a positive sign.
Okay, is there any other comment? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Move on to committees. Finance and Safety Services, Chairman Alderman Putoff.
Council, I have total disbursements for October 8, 2014. The disbursements total $956,443.85. Make a motion report be received, placed on file. The bills paid in the usual manner. Second.
Have a motion by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Radke to receive the disbursements and the bills paid in the usual manner. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call vote. Clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff. Aye. Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Motion approved.
Your Honor, we have the Prue Fire Department, report for a period ending September 27th, 2014. I'll make a motion to accept that report and place it on file.
I'll second that, Your Honor.
Have a motion by Alderman Ferrari, second by Alderman Perez to receive Prue Fire Department report and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Anything further from finance?
Alderman Radke or Alderman Perez, anything else we wanted to take part of tonight? Okay. Sorry.
I'd just like to add that over the weekend, Chief King and the Fire Department had some training up, and you want to describe what went on, Jeff?
Yeah, we worked with CBS on all their old buildings up there, and we went in. We were lucky enough to go in. We had Illinois Fire Institute come up and do a 16-hour RIT training for us, which is Rapid Intervention Team Training. Basically what it was is teach our firefighters how to rescue our own in case they go down through a floor, any scenario where they get lost. And so we smoked up the buildings, and we had real good training both days. The guys worked 16 hours this weekend on it, and they did a good job. They all walked away with something good. We had a captain out of the city of Chicago, was the lead instructor, and we also had a lieutenant from New Lenox that was there. So it was a very, very good class.
Anything further? Okay, we'll move on to Public Services. Chairman Alderman Waldorf.
Yes, Your Honor. Tonight we're going to make a motion to authorize the purchase, installation, and testing of new 735 meters and ancillary equipment for the hydro plant in the amount of $19,200 from Edler Power Services.
I'll second that, Your Honor.
I have a motion by Alderman Lukosius, second by Alderman Waldorf to approve the purchase of and testing of new meters and ancillary equipment. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call.
Yes. Chief King, you want to?
Yeah, basically, back 2 weeks ago when we had the outage out at the hydro plant, it was caused by these meters failing. It's been 20 years since we've really done any upkeep to the infrastructure out at the hydro, which we're working on currently. However, the way this was set up, if one meter went down, it took out another meter, another meter, another meter. So in a sense, we end up losing 4 meters out of this outage. So the new meters that are going in now, it's designed with the software that they bought and installing with these, that if one goes out, it just stays to that one unit. We're not going to lose all 4 units or anything like that. And this is going to come along with some other ideas we're going to get to go out there and go through the entire facility and look and see some other areas that we have to look at upgrading.
Good. Thank you.
Is there any other questions or discussion? Have a roll call vote, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf. Lukosius.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
Radke. Mueller. Sapienza.
Motion approved.
Next, Your Honor, I have the City of Peru Water and Wastewater Treatment Plants report as of August 2014. At our water treatment plant, we produced 83.618 million gallons. On the wastewater side, at the east plant, we treated 74.7 million gallons, and at our west plant, treated 25.4 million gallons. I would like to make a motion to accept this report and place it on file, please.
Second.
Have a motion by Alderman Waldorf, second by Alderman Lukosius, to receive the water wastewater treatment report and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried.
Next on our agenda, Your Honor, I would like to make a motion to approve the Water Street land lease.
I'll second that, Your Honor.
I have a motion by Alderman Waldorf, second by Alderman Lukosius, to approve Water Street land lease. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, do we need an ordinance for a lease, or what do we need for that?
I would imagine we would need an ordinance. It's a 6 month lease to Myrtles to store some coils of steel that they may or may not have room for, or okay.
Okay, this will just authorize the attorney to drop the paperwork. So we'll just have all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried.
Next, Your Honor, I do have some public services announcements. Citizens will notice around town that guardrail work, replacing old guardrail infrastructure, starting at various locations throughout the city. I believe the first location will be the 7th Street dip, and anybody that's been through there knows that that's well-deserved as a replacement. I would like to announce the information on hydrant flushing. And that is as follows. The City of Peru will be flushing hydrants starting Sunday, October 12th at 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. and will run through Friday, October 17th. Residents could experience low water pressure or rusty water, and residents are urged to let their water run until it is clear. I would appreciate it if we could get that press release in the media. Thank you. The leaf vac and the landfill leaf service will start quite soon. This next, well, let's see here. Leaf disposal is available at the Peru landfill compost site on the following Saturdays: November 1st, November 8th, November 15th, November 22nd, and November 29th from 8 to 11:30 a.m. The compost site is located on Ben Samick Road, west of Route 251 and south of the Illinois River. An attendant will be on duty to supervise, and all containers carrying leaves to the site must be removed after dumping. The curb leaf collection starts the week of October 13th, 1 week from today. The leaves are to be raked to the curb, but not in the street, please. Do not rake twigs, branches, brush, or grass clippings in with the leaves, and do not bag leaves or put in cans. They'll be vacuumed right off of the berm between the street and your sidewalk. There are different areas where the vacs will be moving through the week, and there'll hopefully be a notice in the press, and you can check that. People will know when to expect their leaves to be picked up. This from Jeff King. The City of Peru ordinances prohibits the placings of any signs on city property or right-of-way. It also prohibits placing of signs such as garage sale signs on any city utility poles. This would be a real easy one if you looked at them. If our electric department employees ever have to climb a pole and they slip and burn the pole, slide to the ground, it's going to tear them up pretty good with all the staples in the pole. So please refrain from any signs on city utility poles. Garage sale signs can only be placed on private property with the consent of the property owner. All signs are to be regulated by the City of Peru Code. The sign permits are obtained at the Building and Zoning Office. Now, we do have some major projects, going on in the city of Peru, and I'm gonna ask, City Engineer Eric Carls for just a brief rundown on some of those projects, if you could, Eric, please.
Yes, Alderman. Run through each of them individually here. First, the Area 1 sewer separation project on Center Street. We're completing some curb work this week. It'll probably stretch into next week. After that curb work is complete, they'll be into Mill, I'll call it southbound or eastbound lane heading down the hill, and then they'll resurface Center Street. Once that work is complete, we will look at the start date for the alternate portion, which is West Street. That work will stretch into next spring, so we'll make a decision on where we're at once Center Street is complete. 28th Street sewer, that sewer work is complete. It's all installed. Curb work will be completed this week, and then the paving probably won't happen for a couple weeks. If you remember, Opperman Construction has 3 of the projects. They'd like to pave all 3 at the same time. So in the meantime, the trench will be filled with gravel. The Meadow Lawn Lane project will start, I'm anticipating tomorrow. Completion time's about 2 to 3 weeks on that project. And then Water Street will start, the Water Street utility relocation. That project will start after Meadow Lawn Lane. We're looking about 4 to 5 weeks for that. So anticipate them all being wrapped up by Thanksgiving holiday. And then the guardrail project, as you said, it'll begin on Thursday.
Eric,
I think last one, the municipal electrical building, I have a pre-construction meeting on Wednesday of this week at 10 a.m. That work will start probably in the next week.
Thank you. Eric, I did have a question. Will you be starting on any of the sidewalks, residential sidewalks? I noticed there's some markings on some areas, particularly in the 4th Ward. Are you going to be getting those done?
We have begun that, and last week we actually completed a half a dozen locations. The guys were working on a few more today. We're going to go as long as weather permits, and also, of course, availability of our staff.
Are we gonna put the flow meter back in on 28th, or what?
Those flow meters are in and operational.
They will be back in the new sewer? It was in the sewer, wasn't it, in the old part?
It wasn't in that location. We just had to remove a small location in the storm sewer in order to install that sanitary. That's all been restored. It didn't affect the flow meters.
I'd like to say too that I got to experience the process of a water break on my own block on Saturday morning, and very impressed with the way the crews came out. And I mean, from the time that they got there, they went around, notified the neighbors, put the tags on the doors, and they started digging right away. And I think they found it, fixed it, and they were out of there by like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So very impressed with the crews and how they handled those water breaks.
It's like they've got a lot of experience, isn't it?
I'm telling you. And there was a gas line going across there too, and of course, you know, Chief King was there, and they started digging, and they knew there was a gas line in that area. So I guess Chief King had called out the, what do you call that? No, the
back truck.
Yeah, the back truck.
We had to use.
And the way that thing works, I mean, you don't have to worry about breaking anything because that thing just sucks everything out of there. So very impressive. Thank you.
Anything else?
I did. I forgot one project, the curb improvement project. We're about 50% complete with that project.
Chris, do you have anything? No? Mike? Jeff? Anything else? That's all from Public Services, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, report City Attorney, the ordinances, resolutions.
Yes, there was a hearing before the Plan Commission on the petition of Medican LLC. That's also seeking special use for a medical marijuana cultivation center at the Casino Bingo property. All members of the Plan Commission present except Mays, Ballard, and Spellich. Ken Alexa appeared on behalf of the petitioner. Petitioner has filed its application with the state, and it contained 13,500 pages. The petitioner has a bonding capacity of $2 million and access to $500,000 in unrestricted liquidity. he stated, refurbishing that, property would, the purchase and refurbishing would cost $1.5 million. They intend to completely renovate the interior and exterior of the building. Security would be 24/7. Petitioner filed 2 proposed growth centers, one in Peru and one in Manuka, and 3 dispensary applications for Morris, Orland Hills, and Monee. They currently do not operate a growing facility, but have engaged grower Greg Gamet from Denver, Colorado as their consultant. With respect to HVAC, the system would use charcoal filtering to eliminate all odors emitted from the facility. There would be an 8-foot security fence and real tight security. The utilities are already at the site, and they want to be partners with the community and offered 2% of their net profit after taxes to the city, or possibly a police car, because they'd be working closely with the police department on security. Initially, they would employ 30 persons. They would hope to expand that to 60 employees, depending upon business.
Okay, do we have a motion to receive the minutes and place on file?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
Have a motion by Alderman Paul, second by Alderman Mueller to receive the minutes and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carried.
We have ordinance granting a special use. Beaver Dam petitioner is granted a special use to allow a medical marijuana cultivation center in M2 district for the property at 3485 103rd Road, which is casino bingo property.
Have a motion to approve the ordinance as written and read.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
Have a motion by Alderman Powell, second by Alderman Waldorf to approve the ordinance as written and read. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call vote, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf. Aye. Lukosius.
Aye.
Perez.
Present.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye. Motion approved.
We have an ordinance amending the wage ordinance to provide for compensation for the administrative services manager, the public services manager, and the finance officer. Beaver Dane, the ASM would be compensated $15,000 a year. PSM $12,000 a year. The finance officer $62,000 a year.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the ordinance as written and read?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
I have a motion by Alderman Waldorf, second by Alderman Lukosius to approve the ordinance as written and read. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call vote, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Nay.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf. Aye. Lukosius.
Aye.
Perez.
Present.
Radke.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Motion approved. Anything further?
No, sir.
Okay, unfinished business. Do you have any unfinished business?
Your Honor, if I could, I'd just like to address that last motion. I had question on that regarding, the ordinance being, it seems like it should have been divided, but I guess I understand, according to Clerk Bartley, you know, being that I abstained from that motion, a couple of weeks ago. It seems like the finance salary and the ASM and PSM salary was underneath that one motion. I guess that couldn't have been split, so, I wish it could have, because I would have liked to have, motioned on, you know, the finance officer, but I guess the way, you know, it's under that one ordinance, it couldn't, so that's why I voted present. I understand after Clerk Bartley explained that.
Okay. Any unfinished business?
Yeah, there's one thing that I didn't mention in the, committee as a whole, I forgot. Ivar had their little ethnic fest down in, Rotary Park, and Alderman Ferrari and I went down and looked around. They had a good day, and, I think they wanted to pass on. They were pretty appreciative for the electrical and everything, and I don't know if there's anything we can do next year, you know, to improve that if they choose to have it again. I think it was a good day for them, so.
Did you say approve or improve?
Improve.
By doing what?
we could help
Okay.
next year to make
All
it
right.
bigger and better.
Your Honor, I do have one question on the openings, that we have within City Hall, the bookkeeper and the other position that we have for, the other clerk. How's that coming along? Moving forward.
We have 84 applications that were received for the position of administrative assistant. And there was a meeting between HR and the administrative service manager, public service manager, and they've narrowed that list to conduct face-to-face interviews. I think they're being scheduled for this week.
Okay.
The position of bookkeeper, I don't know that it's hit the paper yet. I believe it was in tonight's paper, but we've already received, I think, 5 applications for that position as well.
Thank you.
Any other unfinished business? Okay, new business. Do we have a motion to authorize the mayor to execute petition against the closure of the Pru Comcast office?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Colcher, second by Alderman Radke, to authorize the mayor to execute petition against the closure of Pru Comcast office. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we did have a meeting with Comcast today. We being Mayor Marini and Spring Valley called the meeting, and he set up for Joan Sage and a Deborah Piscola from Comcast. They're the representatives from Comcast. In attendance was Mayor Walt Marini, Economic Development Deb Lazinski, Mayor Gloria Orlandi of Delzell City Clerk Jill Posey, Mayor Bob McCook of Cherry, and Mayor Scott Harrell of Peru. Basically, what they told us was the decision isn't theirs. It's at a level much higher than their pay grade, and the office will close, the office on Marquette Road in Peru. The office will close, the last day will be Thursday, October 30th, and then the office will be closed. There will still be technicians that will be working out of that office, but it will not be open to the public. There's roughly 20 technicians in this area. This area covers on the northern end to Mendota, on the southern end to Oglesby, western end to Princeton, and the eastern end Utica. So there will be 20 technicians that will still be there. The 4 customer account executives that will be displaced have been offered to apply for other positions elsewhere in Comcast. There are some brochures. They're marked Spring Valley because it just came to me today. We'll put Pru on it also because Pru is one of the cities that is affected by this. And it shows how you can do your direct payment options, your retail partner payment options, appointment and equipment options. So there's a few back there, and if you need more, we'll provide more. And what we were told today was Comcast is looking at an Xfinity store, somewhat like Apple stores. They don't know if there'll be one in this region or not. They don't know where it'll be. If there is one, it's a ways out there, but they are looking at opening it and a store of that nature. So there's nothing we can do about it. We will sign the petition. We'll turn it into them, and basically nothing's going to happen. It's a very large company, and it's at a level much higher than where we're at right here. So October 30th will be the last day up on Marquette for customers with customer account executives.
Did you happen to, by chance, I wish I would have asked earlier, on Pulaski Street, I know the main one on the east side cannot be tampered with because that would kill the whole cities from what I was informed. But how about the garage area on the west side of Pulaski? Do they have any indication what their use is for that, or?
That was not even discussed. I believe that's just an area for the technicians. That was not even discussed. The only building that they being Joan Sage and Deborah Priscola, the only building that they referred to was the one on Marquette. But my thoughts would be that the technicians will be still using the same facilities that they currently do.
Do you know do they own that building or do they lease that?
I don't know. You're talking about the one on Marquette? I don't know. I didn't ask that either, and my guess would be they wouldn't know. I have no idea, but that wasn't brought up.
Didn't you say from out of that meeting this morning that there was an account that Comcast had with UPS. And if you had equipment to return, that people could bring it to UPS and they would send it.
That is on the sheets that are in back yes, if you need to send equipment back, you can take it to UPS. Comcast has a contract with UPS, and you can drop it off and it'll be mailed to wherever it's going to go. You know, no cost to the customer. And once again, it's on the sheet, and it says customer service option in Spring Valley, Illinois, but Peru, Illinois also, it also pertains to Peru, Illinois. Let's see. Comcast equipment can be returned as is without wrapping or a box to any local UPS store. Store personnel will package the equipment, ship it directly to Comcast, and provide a receipt, all at no charge to the customer. There is no longer need to wait for shipping boxes to return. So, that's that part of it. See what else happens.
The first part of the letter was, we're trying to improve the customer service, and certainly this is an improvement in the customer service. There's been a number of people, I'm sure, that's called everybody in the city council, and it's been very convenient to bring your cable box or pay your bill to the local office. This is going to take some time to get used to, and certainly outside of the hands of the city of Peru. So I do hope that they do improve on their customer service, but it's unlikely if you're pulling out your team from Arc City.
Okay. Anything else under new business? Okay, proclamation. Proclamation for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, October 2014. Whereas 1 in every 4 women will experience domestic violence during their lifetime. Whereas approximately 15.5 million children are exposed to domestic violence every year. Whereas we encourage domestic violence victims and their family to seek assistance from appropriate victim service organizations, ADV and SAS, 1-800-892-3375, in the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Whereas it is battered women themselves who have been in the forefront of efforts to bring peace, equality, and healing to our homes and communities. Whereas our nation has a moral obligation to work to prevent domestic violence and to address its brutal and destructive effects. Now, therefore, in recognition of the important work done by domestic violence programs and victims service providers, I, Mayor Scott J. Harrell, of the City of Peru, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2014 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and urge all citizens to actively participate in the scheduled activities and programs sponsored by the Zonta Clubs of LaSalle, Peru, Ottawa, Streator, along with ADV and SAS, to work towards the elimination of personal and institutional violence against women and girls. In witness whereof, I have set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Peru to be affixed. So do we have a motion to receive the proclamation, place it on file?
Second, Your Honor.
Okay, that came from Alderman Mueller and Alderman Perez. Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Mueller, a second by Alderman Perez, to proclaim October 2014 is Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the City of Peru. And Zonta will be doing, is that on the 16th, I believe? They will be starting their vigil at Maud Powell, and they will be ending here at Peru City Hall, and they're asking to be received by the mayor and anyone from the council who would like to come to receive them, and they're going to have their meeting in City Hall afterwards. And that is roughly 6:30 at night. So we have a motion by Alderman Mueller, second by Alderman Perez. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Petitions, communications.
All right, we'll start with a 2-for-1. These are from the Rec Department for their two events, October the 25th and December the 6th for their parades, both of them starting, one of them starting at 1:45, and the other one starting at 1 o'clock. And they're changing their location for the start from behind the building here to Rotary Park for both of those events.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we allow both of those events as long as it fits in with the scheduling and the police workload.
Second that.
A motion by Alderman Waller, second by Alderman Sapienza, and Alderman Mueller to receive the communication, place on file, and grant permission. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Next, I have a communication from David Anglevar, requesting a special use for an amendment for the rear yard setback for a new building on Lot 10 of Herbert Street.
Do I have a motion to receive the communication, place on file,
Planning Commission.
Zoning Board of Appeals.
and refer to the Zoning Board of Appeals for review and recommendation?
So moved.
Second, Your Honor.
I have a motion by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Lukosius, to receive the communication and turn over to the Planning Commission. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Doug, I did have something that goes along with, I guess, review, but there's an individual on Sixth Street that was putting up a fence for his family, I guess a safety or protection fence, and he's required to get an appraisal and buy that property off the city. Now, this is not typical of what we've done in the past, correct?
Well, when you're talking about the sale of municipal property, one thing you've done to the contiguous property owner on the other side. If you're talking about the sale of municipal property, yes, you have done that on several occasions.
But this is a simple fence, right? He's just looking to put up a fence on Sixth Street to put in his backyard. He's required to buy a portion of property from the city of Pearl. I haven't seen that in the past.
Is it on an alley or?
The right-of-way comes back into his yard, so to where his property line is, it'd be about, he'd be losing about 7 feet towards his house, so that, I mean, the fence would be right in the middle of his yard.
And there's a number of fences like that in that neighborhood and the community. Are we going to be required now for those people that they'd have to purchase the same easement off of the city?
Let people.
Couldn't you just, have the understanding that if any work had to be done there, that they'd have to remove the fence at their expense? Isn't that the way we've done it in the past?
I don't know how you've done it in the past, right?
I mean, we've just this year, I know we've given a few administrative variances in my ward for.
No. You can only get an administrative variance for your own property, the petitioner's property. So if you need a 5-foot setback, now they only wanted a 2-foot setback, you could give an administrative variance for that with approval from the neighbors. But that is on the person's own property. We have no such thing as an administrative variance to allow someone to build on municipal property.
And when you're talking about municipal property,
I'm talking
you're,
about a street right away.
the street right-of-way that goes basically into the person's yard, right? I mean, the street right-of-way's 50 yards into, or not 50 yards, but it can be 50 feet.
The maximum rights of way are probably 80 feet, typically it would be 60 feet. And assuming the road is built in the center of the right of way, you might go 30, and go as much as 40 feet from the center of the road to determine the property line.
Someone lost their town within someone's house. I mean,
in the older part of town, there are encroachments of actual residences on municipal property. That's correct. They were built way back. The other places where there are some very minor encroachments upon municipal property would be the buildings along 4th Street. Most of the buildings along 4th Street probably encroach up to 6 inches or so upon the street right of way. But in the older part of town, especially down above Brewery Hill in that area, there are a lot of homes up there that were built partially within municipal right of way, especially in that 1st Street area.
So we're essentially requiring somebody to buy a piece of property that they've been maintaining for 50 years and want to put a fence.
Relevant. I mean, you cannot have adverse possession against the governmental unit. If that was the case, everybody, mows their own lawn, their own berm and everything else. If you could have adverse possession against a governmental unit, you wouldn't have any right-of-way, because most people do maintain the right-of-way that's contiguous to their property line.
So then they're buying this portion for, I don't know, $300-400, whatever it is. Then that means they're the owner of it. Well, what if the city has a need for utilities on that area, like they may if the fence is there?
Can't the two aldermen and get together and look at this area and go from there? And
we have.
With the agreement that they...
We have.
That they...
It was administrative variance. That was the first thing we did, and then that's when he said we couldn't do that because we were going into the right-of-way. So we've been there. I mean, we've looked at it.
I still don't understand how it's different than the one we just gave at 15th and Church.
Well, if you gave one there, it was in error. No, I don't care if you establish a procedure, and a better procedure would probably be a license. A license is terminable at will, and you have granted a license. The most recent one would have been for the Beard Brothers sign that encroaches over a portion of the 4th Street right-of-way. But a license could be terminable at will. A number of times you have sold property, because you can sell property based on a MAI or state certified appraiser at not less than 80% of that appraised value. You could do it under home rule powers, and you can also do it by seeking bids. But in those that we've sold property on that, if you look at those ordinances, the city has reserved any existing easements and also easements that we may need in the future without the payment of any compensation. Not arguing with anybody, you can do what you want, but I mean, you can't just start letting people build on city right-of-ways without some procedure for doing that. If you want to do it by a license procedure, you could establish some procedure for that. If you wanted to do it by an easement and retain the fee simple or underlying portion of the real estate, you could do it like that. If somebody wanted to make it a permanent portion of their yard, then you could do it by a direct sale of the property by following one of the sale procedures.
I think a lot of times simple common sense will come into it. I mean, this individual is basically a fence, a small fence. They're not building a patio. They're not building that anything that, is going to be in the way of a city easement. So I think there should be some availability for somebody to do it. For example, if somebody wants to put a sign on 4th Street, it's within the right-of-way, they want to replace something, they'd have to come into the same effect of where they'd have to purchase that property and be granted some type of an easement for that. And I don't know. I don't think it's...
Well, just like you have for administrative variances, why don't you set up a procedure that the city would grant a license, and a license by definition is terminable at will if it's approved by the ASM, PSM, the 2 aldermen of that wards, and the 2 neighbors. Then they have a license to put up a fence. That would be the preferable procedure. But the city would still own the right-of-way. Yeah. Or if you want to do a sale in a right-of-way,
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that's a perfect way, because at this point right now, the person has to seek out an appraisal, pay for that appraisal, pay the fee, the minor fee, $300 or $400 to the city, and then be awarded all the rights to that. I think this is much better, a license. And
let's establish a procedure for licensing then.
Well, that would make sense. You could do it the same way you do an administrative procedure, but have the neighbors agree, right? Yeah. The 2 aldermen of that ward, the ASM and PSM.
I think they're much more familiar with it than anybody from the outside.
What percentage, though? The administrative variance 40%, I believe. 40%.
Well, sure would be common sense.
All right.
If the neighbors agree and everybody else agrees, and then you can
We do have a couple of additional,
Right. We don't wanna grant licenses for any fence, just for.
Right, I mean, you know, Chicago has thousands of licenses, and those would be, all of the outdoor eating establishments are essentially within rights of way, and, you know, they actually get big revenue from, that, but, you know, and you have some, the only one that I can recall was the, Stage Door, which is, was the first one to petition, I think, for outdoor, eating, when, Ken Hageman had it.
Okay, we still have a couple communications.
three more communications. Request for a special use permit, from Ken and Linda Mullen. This is regarding, the medical marijuana dispensary.
Okay, we have a motion to receive, place on file, and turn it over to the Plan Commission for review and recommendation.
That would also need a text amendment to the zoning ordinance. Is that what it says, Dave? Yeah, 'cause that would, that's not in a B4, district.
Right, that would need a change from,
This one.
that's north of Shimmers.
That would be next to the Stowe Group property off 21st Street.
And that's in B5, and it needs to be
That
B4.
property was just rezoned to B5. So you would have to,
It was just rezoned B5, and are they requesting, zoning that was just approved? Or is this a
No,
special use?
no,
The special use to go-
I just heard about this Friday afternoon when he stopped in the office. I says, you can't put that there without, one, a text amendment to the zoning ordinance allowing medical marijuana dispensary as a special use within a B5 office business district property, number one, and then number two, that particular property would have to be granted such a special use after the text amendment.
It's entitled to a hearing, I guess.
I'd refer it to zoning.
Yes, that would go to the Plan Commission.
Oh, wait, okay, do we have a motion to receive that, place on file, and turn over to Planning Commission?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
A motion by Alderman Miller, second by Alderman Radke to receive, place on file, and turn over to Planning Commission. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next, I have a request from EOG Resource Incorporated requesting a special use permit. This again for cannabis.
Yes, that would, no, that would be, that property's already zoned M2. That would be property south of, Leone's, and that would be for a, rail facility. Loading. That would go to Plan Commission.
Okay, do we have a motion to receive, place on file, and turn over to Planning for review and recommendations?
Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
A motion by Alderman LaCosta, second by Alderman Putoff. Do we have any discussion? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Yeah, on a lighter note, there's a birthday party planned at Centennial Park on Monday, October 13th, and the person who made the arrangements to reserve the shelter would like to have a bouncy house.
Clowns or anything else?
No, I don't know about clowns, just a bouncy house. And her daughter would really appreciate it. Centennial Park on October 13th.
Second.
Have a motion by Alderman Putoff, second by Alderman Perez to receive communication, place on file, and grant permission. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
No further communications, Your Honor.
Okay, do we have any public comment? Now, under the new public comment, you're not required to come up here, you're required to speak in the microphone, but it can be moved back to the podium in the back, or you can take it to your seat. So do we have any public comment at this time? Or if you want, you can come up here and talk in there. The only requirement is you must, okay, he'll bring the microphone back to you. You must state your name.
All these are working. Speak loudly. Battery maybe.
No, I just let him push it down.
Name's Rob Martin. End of July, found an 8-inch hole at a curb at my residence with no bottom in it. Contacted the city on July 24th. They come up, dug a hole, thought it was the sewer connection. That was found to be intact. At that point, they couldn't find a problem, so they decided to fill the hole with 3 truckloads of rock. I was told to keep an eye on it. It sunk 3 more times. Each time it was filled with rock. On 8/21, the barricade had sunk 2 feet. Mr. King, Mr. Perez came to see the hole, was told the city would be back again the next day to take a look at it. On the 22nd, I woke up to 6 inches of water in my basement. Called the city, Mr. King, Mr. Carl, Mr. Bartley. Everyone was aware of the damage. They saw the damage. Some of them were actually in the basement as the water was still coming in. So the solution was to dig a bigger hole. After digging the hole back to the original sewer connection, which was still intact, no one had any idea what the problem was. So we brought in cameras. A problem was discovered, which was determined to be a direct result of some improper connections done at an earlier date when the storm sewer was put in. At this point, the city told me that they would take full responsibility for the problem and assured that they would take care of it. Mr. Bartley had the city send a dumpster, which arrived 4 days later, a cleaning service that consisted of 2 boys, 2 women, a mop, a bucket, and a gallon of cleaner. It took them about 3 hours to clean the basement. Mr. Bartley also provided $1,000 for washer dryer after his repairman determined unrepairable. Mr. Bartley also said to keep track of hours and a list of all losses as the city would be reimbursing. After getting the mess cleaned up, an itemized list, all estimates, photos of the damage were provided as requested for reimbursement by the city. Mr. Bartley presented to council for payment. All of a sudden, council has questions about the list. Provided Mr. Bartley with those answers. No action taken. On September the 22nd, I came to a city council meeting. After the council meeting was over, spoke with Mr. Lukosis and Mr. Waldorf to see what was going to be done. I was told that they would look into it. On the 24th of September, I get a message from Mr. Bartley saying that now the city has decided to turn a claim into their insurance company to recoup some of their out-of-pocket expenses for what was provided already and hopefully cover for the loss. Now, on the 26th of September, I've been contacted by a representative from St. Louis who's now decided that she's going to send an independent adjuster from Bloomington to investigate the city's claim, which, by the way, we're still waiting for that to happen. This all started in July and is still going on 3 months later. It's a direct result of the city's failure to correctly identify and repair an obvious problem the first time that you were made aware of it. Now it seems like you want someone else to pay for your mistakes. What about the mistake I made when I trusted the city of Peru and what they told me they were going to do? I did exactly as I was instructed to do. Now I would appreciate it if you would do what you said you were going to do. Thanks for your time.
Okay. Is there any other public comment at this time? Who's that?
Right back on
Stand up, sir. Thank you.
Well, our remote mic's not working, so yes, would you please come up so you can be on the audio and state your name? I don't know what happened to the remote mic.
Could you come up here, sir?
Okay, thank you.
My name is Lester Rudder. I live over on 10th Street in Peru off of Pulaski. And house right off Pulaski, it's on the southwest corner. People that go by probably know the house. It's a wreck. And it's full of junk. Well, I own the second and third house from the corner, and I live in the third house. I got a renter in the second house. She's been a good renter. She's been there for about 12 years. And the house that's on the corner of Pulaski, I don't know who the alderman is. That's why I come down here tonight. Yeah, he's got all this junk there. He says he's putting up a fence. He threw it all in the back of his garage. He threw all of his trash in the garage on the west side of his house. Today, I saw a rat go into the back of that garage. And that pile of trash that he's got there in back of the garage, the weeds on it's probably 3-4 feet, not 4 feet, maybe 2 or 3 feet. And I asked him, I said, when are you going to clean that up? He says, I don't know, maybe I won't. He's upset because he says the city wouldn't let him build a fence on Pulaski Street to the south of his house. And now he went ahead and built it, and I just want that around that garage and the south side of that garage cleaned up, because that rat, I know what a rat looks like, and it was definitely a rat. I saw one up further the other street, about 3 houses up, but this one here, he's just got trash everywhere. And anybody that goes to the Y and goes up Pulaski Street has to notice that house. It is, I don't think it's livable. I come down here about 2 years ago when there was a bad snowstorm, and I talked to somebody named Frank. Well, he come up and he talked to this guy, and there wasn't nothing done. I don't see him here tonight. Maybe he don't work here anymore. But it definitely needs looked into. When I saw that rat today, I figured, I've never been in one of these meetings, but I figured I'm going to come down there and maybe somebody can do something about it. I don't, I don't have it in for the guy. In fact, I try to get along with him. But I'm not going to go for this. And that woman that rents the other house from me, she says she's going to start looking for someplace else to live because she's not going to put up with that.
Sir, I am your alderman, and I will ask Chief King first thing immediately in the morning. Will you go check into that situation, please?
I was there. Matter of fact, he just got issued a ADJ citation for installing that fence without a building permit. I went there about a month ago. I saw the actual post going up, and I went there and stopped him and said, you need to come down to City Hall and get a building permit before you continue. He never showed up, and then this week I saw, or the end of last week, I saw him putting up panels, and so I had Bob Fish go over and write him a citation, so he's got an ABJ citation for that. I didn't go around the other side of the house, I didn't see the junk, but I will get on that.
Well, and I must apologize too, because Alderman Mueller, who is also your alderman, just Sunday, we went riding around and...
That was just yesterday.
And I didn't...
We have a list.
We even rode by that home. I saw the fence and we called Jeff on it today, but I didn't see any trash, did you? Okay. I'll make you a promise, Chief King will be there first thing in the morning.
Yeah, well, if you want to see the whole section of it, stop across from Suarez's house, which is on the corner, and you can see it. Everybody's going to have a little something. The garbage is fine. But this here has been a year or two, and like I said, when I saw that rat, and that's, you know, there was a rat there once before, and there's a sewer on the corner of Wall Street, where you turn on 10th Street. This Frank that worked here before, he told me, he says they're having a lot of trouble this year with rats. He says they're coming out of the sewer. I don't know that either, but I figured I'd get somebody's attention if I come down there tonight.
I appreciate you coming down. I just want to ask City Attorney, is there any, Jeff's been doing the right things and finding them. Is there any way we can make this gentleman tomorrow take that fence down without a building permit? Times do we have to cite him?
Mr. Reuter, will you be home in the morning when Jeff comes by? Do you work, or will you be home? Oh, he'll be there before then. Jeff, what time do you think you could meet him?
Aren't you out of the loop tomorrow?
7, I'll be there.
Sir, could you just, after the meeting, we'll meet with you afterwards, and we'll set a time that we can come over there by tomorrow.
Yeah.
It has been issued one ticket already, and if there's more violations, we'll write more tickets and we'll get it moving, okay? So hang out after the meeting and we'll get some information from you.
Okay, well, thank you.
Okay, Lester, thank you.
Your Honor, we need to be consistent and fair with our public comment. I had mentioned to the residents over here that we would hear their issue, but we weren't going to have a conversation, and I think it's fair because I think he's looking for some answers. So since we allowed the other gentleman to give his public comment and we're going back and forth, I think we at least owe them the same respect to see where we're at with their issue. So if we could.
We told Mr. Reuter that we'll talk to him afterwards.
No, this other gentleman.
I know what you're talking about, but it'll go back to the Public Services Committee.
So is that where we're at with?
Well, I can say that I spoke with the insurance adjuster, Marilyn, from CCMSI, and she indicated that she did communicate with Mr. Martin on a couple of occasions. Today, I talked to her late this afternoon on the issue. To be honest, she's been working hard on the issue of who's responsible. Is the city responsible? Is the homeowner responsible for this issue? Is it their line? Is it our line? And I explained to her that based on city engineers' recommendation at the time that this took place, that the city did take responsibility, and I did meet with the homeowner, and the city did take responsibility at that time, and said that that ultimately the reason for this backup was the situation there that we just weren't able to address in a timely manner in order to prevent it from happening. So I think the guidance that I got from the committee at the time was to forward it over to our insurance company in order to get some feedback from the insurance company in terms of customary and reasonable type expenses that the company would cover. And I did learn after the fact that they would have preferred we give it to the insurance company straight away, right after the incident happened, and let them deal with it right from the start. It would have been easier for them than us to take it as far as we did, and then try to address it at committee level. So it is progressing. It isn't progressing fast, as Mr. Martin has so efficiently reported. It is going pretty slow, but we are trying to make progress and get it rectified. And his concerns about his front yard getting cleaned up before the season changes properly is a big concern.
Yeah, on the front yard, I was hoping that when you do the sewer, we could go through and patch all that at the same time. If that's possible, I'm not sure.
So are they coming by there when they do that project, Eric?
Plan to do a roadway patch and the curb improvement there when that metal lawn lane project goes. So within the next couple of weeks, that'll be complete.
Okay, is there any other public comment? Any other public comment? All right, do I have a motion for adjournment?
Moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Who should second? Then a motion by Alderman Farley, second by Alderman Perez for adjournment. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, meeting adjourned.